Here, let's take a look at the 1.5-inch micro gill. This is a great little panfish, crappie bait. It's also a great micro bass bait. Now, a lot of you guys have already found the 2-inch mini gill. This one's very similar, but it's a 1/2 inch smaller. Now, 1/2 inch may not sound like much, but it actually affects kind of the overall profile of this bait quite a bit. This bait is a great little BFS bait, ultralight finesse bait for smallmouth, largemouth bass, big crappie. So this one's a little different. It's a little smaller. It's more of a micro finesse presentation. You can fish this one, under a float or something like that. Bluegill can get their mouths around this. Big crappie, bass will also eat this for small shad fry, little bluegill fry, things like that. So just kind of a different bait entirely, even though it's the same profile, but totally different size. So now let's talk about different ways you can rig this little guy. Start off, most of you guys will probably just rig it with a little jig head. And you can hang it under a float, you can just free fish it just on a little jig like that. Now sizing, you're going to want to use a pretty small little jig head with a small little hook. These are actually really nice little jig heads from iFish. Size 10 is what I'm using on this guy. It's only less than 1 gram as far as weight goes on the jig head, but great little jig head for this little bait. Adds just enough weight to it. Also has a small enough hook where it doesn't kind of swamp that bait or overwhelm that bait. You could fish up to an 8. Now I will say I rigged this one kind of with the flat side perpendicular to the hook. So this kind of imitates a leech, a crayfish, just a general bug, a large dragonfly larva scurrying on the bottom, but it has a fairly thin profile when you look at it from the side. Now, a different way you could rig it is with a little bit larger jig head. This is an 8, and you can rig it kind of parallel to that body, and what you'll get is a wider profile. So if you're going after imitating like a shad fry or a bluegill fry or something like that, this is a good little way to rig it. You'll get a little bit less action out of this profile. It's a little bit more of a stiff, kind of more rigid body when you rig it this way, but you'll get that wider profile when it's just hanging perfectly in the water column. Whereas this one, you'll get a little bit more dance out of the tail if you rig it this way, but it'll be a thinner profile. This makes a great little leechy kind of look as well. Now another way you can rig it is just on a little micro drop shot rig. And sizing for the hooks on this guy, I think this one is a 6, a little worm 10 hook, but you could go down to an 8. This is a Ryugi fog shot hook. 8s will work as well. You could also use owner mosquito hooks, and just a small little weight, a 1/32, 1/16 ounce weight, and this bait will just kind of levitate and hover, and you can twitch it and let it dance along the bottom. Now we can get in a couple more technical rigs. This is a little cheb rig. We're using the Verivus 1-inch hook. It's kind of the equivalent to a size 8 or a 10 EWG hook. Very little, small little hook with a little 1.5 gram tungsten cheb weight. Go up to a 2 gram probably if you wanted to. And this you could also fish Texas rigged as well. You can find these little small 1/32 ounce bullet weights or cone weights, and you could fish it either Texas rig or you could fish it on a cheb rig. Very similar kind of actions. The cheb rig has a little bit more of a free swing there on the head, but great little technical way to fish this little bait. Another thing you could do is fish it on a micro jika rig. This is one that I made from a Verivus inch hook, little drop shot connector there, and a little, I don't know what that is, maybe a 3/64. It doesn't say. It's a little 3/64 or a 1/16 ounce tungsten jika weight there. And this will get your bait right down on the bottom, but it'll keep it about 1 inch off the bottom so you're not down in the mud and the scum. Just kind of let your bait just hover above the bottom while still standing up off the bottom so it doesn't get lost down in the muck or the algae. But another great little way to fish this bait. So a lot of you guys have already found that 2-inch size. It's become very popular. It's a great BFS bait. A lot of you ultralight guys are really going to like this even smaller one. Simpler to fish. You don't have to fish it on those technical rigs. Like I said, probably the most effective deadly way is just throw it out there on a little tiny jig head hanging under a float, let it bob into the waves. Great little way to catch big panfish, big crappie, and don't be surprised if a relatively large sized bass will come and pop that puppy under a float as well. As always, you can find them on our website, moondogbaitco.com, and that is the little micro gill.